Over the past few days, I've been thinking about a lot of One Piece characters in the greater sense of the overall story, because the story potentially is now getting to that point. I'm thinking about Kaido, I'm thinking about Blackbeard, I'm thinking about Shanks, the Admirals, Akainu, Mihawk, and somewhere down the line, I wound up thinking about Garp, Monkey D. Garp. And Monkey D. Garp to me is one of the best characters from a characterization, from a character development, from an overall character growth standpoint. I would say he's one of the best characters in the series of One Piece. And when I was thinking about Garp and his journey that we've gone so far in the story, there is something that I was reminded of, and that was Garp being wrong, quote unquote wrong, during Marineford War, when it came to Ace and his decision not to make any direct action in saving Ace. And I remember a lot of folks at that point in time detested Garp, and that resentment only got worse when he met Dadan when he returned to Fuchsia Village, and Dadan was wailing on him, and Mito couldn't say anything of real note because when she said he's suffering the most, Dadan said, no, it's clearly not Garp, it's Luffy, and then she ran away crying. And of course she was right, like without question, Luffy was suffering the most. But when it came to that resentment for Garp, for not doing anything to save Ace, directly speaking, I feel it's unwarranted, or not necessarily unwarranted, but misplaced, or potentially even misvalued. I don't necessarily think that Garp is wrong, but more so, it had to be the case. Garp had to deal with this, because this is how Garp has led his life. Anything that goes against what he's led his life for is kind of contradictory to the entire foundation of the character. This is part of the paradox of Garp's character, where there is a clear issue between what he's built his life on and his family, and understanding how important family is. So let's get right into it. We don't know how Garp was treated by his father, or his grandfather, his mother, or his grandmother. We have no idea. But what we do know is over the course of his journey, he fought against the man that we know today as the Pirate King, Goldie Roger, over the course of years, decades. Over the course of that time, Roger kind of saw Garp as a friend. And I can't say the same thing for Garp, but Garp at least respected the man a lot, which is unusual considering, well, he's a Marine and Goldie Roger's a pirate. But at the same time, not so unusual considering who Goldie Roger was, the king of the pirates. Later on, we see, after the death of Goldie Roger, we see that Garp, he goes to where Portugas de Rouge is, and he sees how much Rouge is willing to suffer, to go through, to make sure that no Marines are aware that she has the child of Goldie Roger inside of her. She keeps the baby within her for 20 months. 20 months, almost 2 years. She keeps that baby inside of her to make sure that no Marines find out about that. And then when Ace is finally born, she dies. So Garp sees that the king of the pirates, even though he's on death's door, he still cares for his unborn child, to the point where he's willing to ask his quote-unquote nemesis, his rival, to take care of the child for him. And then he sees that the mother of said child is willing to go through so much to make sure that the child is born and no Marines come to take its life. If anything, you can say that his family values really come from those two, because we don't know what happened exactly between him and Dragon, and we'll find out at some point in the future, clearly. Of course, they do have their differences, which we'll get to later on in the video, but just basing his family values on that, that's a pretty strong foundation, considering the folks that we're talking about. And so he's willing to take in Ace as the adopted grandchild. Furthermore, Dragon is not taking care of his own son, Monkey D. Luffy, and Garp is now tasked with the duty, of course from a family standpoint, to take care of his grandson. And that's what he does. Now, granted, he does this through Dadan and the mountain tribes, but he's the one that provides them that environment so they can foster their skills in a natural way so they can be best suited to become great Marines in the future. So you can see how over the course of the flashback with the Ace Sabo Luffy flashback, you see how he is kind of discouraged in seeing Ace resent his father Goldie Roger. And later on, when we have Ace ask Garp the question of, well, did I deserve to be born? Or do I deserve to be born? Garp doesn't give him a straight answer, which in one sense you could say, well, that wasn't the smartest move. But you can't necessarily say it's wrong, because if Garp were to tell him an answer, that answer would probably be insufficient compared to what Ace could actually learn on his own by venturing into the world and finding that answer for himself, whatever the answer may be, which Ace does ultimately do towards the end of essentially his life. And what hurts Garp even more so is probably hearing Ace cry. Ace comes to the conclusion that he was glad that he was born, and yet still not making a direct effort to try and save Ace. But we see clearly what builds the family man side of Garp's character. And I'm willing to bet that there's a lot more to come in the future for that, because there's still Monkey D. Dragon, his actual son, and then there's potentially what we could learn with the Rocks, and that may have some ties to the family man side of Garp's character as well. So for most of us, we understand that. We have families ourselves, and whatever's going on with our own families, well, we deal with that. Whether it's good or bad, it is what it is. But understanding the importance of family is a well-known concept. We all get it. However, in Garp's case, even though we can surmise where these roots come from, the fact remains that his family, in the eyes of the world, his family are villains. His family are evil. His son is the leader and the founder of the Revolutionary Army, an organization that is hell-bent on taking down the entire structure of the world government, at least on paper. His grandson, Monkey D. Luffy, is a high bounty rookie who's created chaos across the world in terms of Marines, in terms of Cypher Pole and the world government. And at that point in time, recently coming out of Impel Down, creating chaos there, arriving at Marineford and assisting Whitebeard to save Ace. And then finally, you have Ace himself, his adopted grandson, who is a high bounty pirate serving under the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard himself, and is the son of Goldie Rogers. His family is full of evil. In the eyes of the world, he is the shining light among the darkness that is the Monkey D family. And it's directly shown during the Marineford War, where the Marines revere and awe Garp when Garp, he steps on the scaffold with Sengoku. Oh, it's the hero Garp. And yet Garp at the same time is scolding Ace because he hates how Ace is turned up. He hates how Ace has not been following his guidance at all. And it's not necessarily canon, but you can say the difference in the way Monkey D. Garp and Monkey D. Dragon view certain parts of the world is also a part of this contention within the Monkey D. family, because Garp sees the East Blue as a fairly peaceful place. In episode 0, Shiki was very upset that they were going to kill Goldie Roger in the East Blue, but it was because it was a weak sea that the East Blue was the perfect place to end the legacy of the Pirate King. And mind you, this is despite Garp knowing full well that the Tenryubito are the way they are. He knows that they're scumbags, but even still, he's willing to accept the reality that in the higher up parts of the world government, yeah, they're scumbags, but look at the peace and the harmony that exists in a lot of these parts of the world, while we try and ruin the peace and tranquility in these areas, like in Fuchsia Village. But in the Goat Kingdom, Monkey D. Dragon sees the darkness, even in a place like the East Blue. He sees the Tenryubito, he sees the classism, he sees the poverty, and he sees someone like Sabo, a nobility, who curses his own birth. And so we can clearly tell from this standpoint that Monkey D. Garp and his son Monkey D. Dragon are completely opposed when it comes to a lot of their viewpoints. So from that standpoint, Garp is once again the white sheep among the dark sheep. And so even though he is a family man, he was willing to take the punch from Luffy so Luffy could go up the scaffold and try and save Ace. He himself could not face his friend Sengoku because he is a Marine first and foremost. And that may shock some cats, but that's the reality of Garp. After the Marineford War, Garp became an instructor. So he's training new Marines and new recruits, a very similar role that Zet has in the Film Z movie. He's trained characters like Kobe and Helmeppo. You see how Helmeppo was before, and under his guidance, he's a completely new man. The potential that was Helmeppo's character is now being achieved, and he's gonna be a shining star for the Marines later on. Kobe as well. Kobe is gonna be a big star. He already is recognized as a hero, of course, only to a certain extent, mind you, but nonetheless, Garp is the one who has given guidance to Helmeppo and Kobe. Albeit, let's say in the anime, they give you filler scenes of one of Garp's right-hand men. He's mainly training Kobe and Helmeppo, but still under the guidance of Garp himself. And even after Ace died, during the Marineford War, Garp, even though he wanted to take out Akainu, after Sengoku and Blackbeard engage in combat, Garp comes in there to help Sengoku and he punches Jesus Burgess. So Ace had just died and his quote-unquote killer, and I use quotes there because in a sense, Ace is still the bad guy, according to the world viewpoint. The man that killed him, Akainu, he's still alive, he's still on the prowl, taking care of business. Garp doesn't go after Akainu, no, he stays back to protect the Ford. He helps out his boy Sengoku to make sure that Blackbeard does not achieve his current goal of sinking the entire Marineford. At the end of the day, even though we can surmise where his family values come from and why they're so strong, even though we can respect Garp for raising Luffy and Ace to the extent that he did, seeing how he let Luffy go to try and save Ace on its own, I'm not gonna say that Garp is wrong. Even if Garp himself thinks that he's wrong, I can't say that he's wrong, because at the end of the day, he is the hero of the Marines. He is the hero, Monkey D. Garp. That is who he is, first and foremost. Another way of saying it, though less eloquent, would be Garp puts his job and his position before his family. Now that may sound messed up, but considering who his family is it really? Considering who his family is it really messed up for us to say that Garp putting his position and his job first is wrong? I don't think so. I really don't. Garp is the hero of the Marines. He's going to foster a lot of potential and a lot of good individuals within the Marines itself. That title, that role, that position has more weight in the immediate world than him being the family man and putting that in the forefront and doing something like directly saving Ace. Because if he were to do that, then he is no longer the hero of the Marines, Garp. He's now a traitor of the Marines, Monkey D. Garp. He's now a villain. And at the end of the day, Garp being a traitor of the Marines, who does that really help? Like, does it help Catch in the East Blue? Not really, no. Him being a Marine, having a sign in Fuchsia Village saying, hey, like, you know, this is Garp's territory under his watch, like, don't mess with it. Well, that helps him a lot, now doesn't it? So at the end of the story, if Garp, hypothetically speaking, were to face off against Luffy, he will face him off as the hero, and Luffy will respond as the Pirate King. That, I think, is only inevitable, assuming that Garp is still alive by then. And finally, if the roles were switched, and it was Luffy who was captured by the Marines, and they were going to execute Luffy, and powerful folks were going to come and save Luffy, I'm not too sure if Garp would save Luffy. You would think, yeah, he would because he's direct blood, but I'm still not too sure. Naturally speaking, I think the answer would be yes, but at the same time, if he didn't, could you blame Garp? Could you blame the hero? Even then, I don't think you could. I don't think you could. But guys, that's it. That's it. That's my stance on this topic. And I just wanted to ponder a bit about Garp and let me know where you stand. So on that note, I am done. Be sure to rate the video. It is not that hard to do. I guarantee you that because I know that you all have a device called Zamaosu. You use Zamaosu to click, rate the video, to click, subscribe, to click on that bell to join the squad. And of course, as always, please do feel free to comment. Once again, let me know where you stand. Comment in the comment section down below. Peace. And have a nice goddamn day. The hero.